Where is he? I can't see him. Look very well. He's under. Nakcoa's not letting go. Somebody call 911. Get the divers down here now. This wasn't just a tragic mistake. It was a warning ignored for years. If this story shakes you, it should, because it's not the first time. And if nothing changes, it won't be the last. Wait, let's go back to the beginning. It was supposed to be just another show at Ocean Dome Marine Park, a choreographed dance between man and beast, a performance perfected through years of training, trust, and repetition. But what happened next would leave hundreds of witnesses frozen in disbelief and would mark the last day of trainer Sam Collins' life. In front of a full arena in broad daylight, something snapped. This isn't just a tragic story. It's a wake-up call. You're watching Animal Quest, where we uncover the stories they try to forget. If you believe animals deserve freedom and the truth deserves a voice, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it to keep the conversation going. Sam Collins was just 28 years old, young, passionate, and full of promise. When he joined Ocean Dome Marine Park in San Diego back in 2016, he wasn't just another rookie trainer. He was the kind of person who walked into a room and made people believe in something bigger than themselves. To his colleagues, Sam was more than just a coworker. He was the heart of the team. The guy who stayed late to care for the animals. The one who volunteered for every early morning shift. The one who called every orca by name, not number. But there was one orca who meant more to Sam than any other. A massive, jet-black male named Nakcoa. Captured off the coast of Iceland as a calf, Nakcoa had spent over 2 decades performing for crowds in concrete tanks. Many trainers avoided him. He had a reputation. Temperamental, unpredictable, dangerous. But not to Sam. To Sam, Nakcoa was misunderstood. He believed the orca was simply reacting to years of trauma, isolation, and confinement. He spent extra hours with him, learning his moods, developing new signals, refining their routines. He believed in the dream that humans and killer whales could connect not just for entertainment, but for something meaningful, something beautiful. Over the years, Sam and Nakcoa became the park's main attraction. Their bond was electric. Audiences were left speechless by their perfect timing, the gravity-defying stunts, the affection they seemed to share. But behind the scenes, some began to worry. Because Nakcoa was changing, and so was Sam.
He was taken from the wild in 2001. Just a baby ripped from his pod off the coast of Iceland during a controversial capture operation. He never saw his mother again. From the very beginning, his life was containment. Cold transport crates, sterile tanks, unfamiliar trainers, and an endless cycle of performances. For over 2 decades, Nakcoa was passed between marine parks like a piece of property. He developed sores from poor water quality, ground his teeth down by chewing on steel gates, and spent hours floating motionless at the surface, a behavior known among experts as logging, often a sign of extreme psychological distress. He was involved in multiple incidents over the years. In 2011, a trainer was pulled underwater during a training session, narrowly escaping with a dislocated shoulder. In 2014, Nakcoa refused to perform in front of a full crowd, circling the tank in agitation for over 10 minutes. Internal reports labeled him unpredictable, high risk, and in some cases, simply difficult. But Ocean Dome needed a star, and Nakcoa was just that, as long as he stayed in line. It wasn't just one incident. It was a pattern, subtle at first, but growing louder with time if anyone had been listening. In early July, just 6 weeks before the tragedy, Nakcoa lunged unexpectedly during a routine feeding session. His jaw snapped shut inches from a junior trainer's arm. It was brushed off as playful excitement, a one-time fluke. But then came the refusals. He began ignoring basic cues, even from Sam. Simple commands were met with long pauses, or worse, agitated swimming, deep dives, and bursts of high-speed laps around the tank. He began slapping his tail against the walls hard enough to echo across the park. Whispers started to circulate among the staff. 2 veteran trainers requested reassignment. One quit entirely. Another claimed she had filed multiple safety complaints with management but received no response beyond a generic acknowledgement email. Then came the memo, short and marked internal use only. Limit close contact behaviors with Nakcoa until further notice. Trainers are advised to remain on stage platforms unless otherwise authorized by senior staff. But that memo never made it into Sam's hands. Some say he was kept in the dark. Others believe he knew, but ignored it, trusting the bond he'd built with Nakcoa over years of work. Perhaps he didn't want to believe what was becoming obvious to everyone else, that Nakcoa was deteriorating, that something inside him had fractured. Park executives, for their part, stayed silent. No statement, no adjustment to the performance schedule. Nakcoa remained the headliner. Tickets continued to sell. Summer crowds packed the bleachers. Sam continued performing. And the next time Nakcoa made contact with a human, it wouldn't be a warning. It would be a death sentence. It was a scorching summer afternoon at Ocean Dome Marine Park. The stands were packed with over 800 spectators, mostly them tourists. Children clutched cotton candy. Parents snapped photos on their phones. The 2:15 p.m. Orca show was the park's crown jewel, the grand finale of a long day of family fun. Sam Collins stood behind the barrier gates, suited in his black wetsuit, barefoot on the platform. He smiled as the announcer introduced the closing act. It was a routine he'd done hundreds of times before. The rocket hop, a stunt that always drew cheers. Sam gave a quick wave to the crowd. Someone in the front row called out his name. He smiled, nodded, and dove in. Under the surface, Nakcoa was already circling. The music swelled. Sam floated in position, body straight, arms ready. Trainers on the sidelines gave the hand signal. A pause, then movement. Nakcoa surged up from the deep like a torpedo.
But this time, something was off. Instead of pushing Sam gently from below as rehearsed, Nakcoa collided into him with jarring force. Sam was knocked sideways in the water. From the stands, it might have looked like part of the act, but the trainers knew instantly this wasn't right. Sam tried to recover. He swam back toward the center of the pool, likely signaling for Nakcoa to reset. But before he could reach the platform, the Orca turned. Without warning, Nakcoa clamped his jaws around Sam's torso and yanked him under. At first the crowd gasped, still unsure whether it was real or just part of the performance. But within seconds, that uncertainty turned to horror. The water exploded in a fury of motion. Nakcoa surfaced with Sam still in his grip. A scream pierced the air, then another. Trainers rushed to the edge of the tank, blowing emergency whistles, throwing in distraction buoys. But Nakcoa didn't stop. He dove again, pulling Sam with him, only to erupt back through the surface, thrashing his body like a rag doll. The water turned red. Parents covered their children's eyes. Some ran, others stood frozen. Over the park's loudspeakers, the music cut to static. Then, silence. It took nearly 7 minutes to get Sam free. By then, his body was limp, his wetsuit shredded. A lifeguard pulled him to the platform and began CPR, but it was already too late. At 2:41 p.m., Sam Collins was pronounced dead on site. The crowd had long since been evacuated. Some were in shock, others were sobbing. Dozens of cell phone videos were already beginning to circulate online, spreading the unthinkable in real time. In under 30 minutes, a celebrated performance had turned into a fatal nightmare. The hours after Sam Collins' death were a whirlwind of chaos and silence. By evening, the incident had become national news.
But Ocean Dome's official response was a single-page press release distributed just before midnight, expressing sadness but offering no details, no mention of Nakcoa by name, no acknowledgement of prior warnings. Behind closed doors, legal teams worked overtime. Damage control began before Sam's body had even been released to his family. Staff were told not to speak to the press. Internal emails were scrubbed. Safety reports vanished from public servers. But the internet doesn't forget. By noon the next day, cell phone footage from the audience had begun to surface. Shaky, grainy clips taken from the bleachers, showing Nakcoa dragging Sam under, screams in the background, the lifeless body being pulled from the water. Each clip was more horrifying than the last. Millions viewed it within hours. Then came the protests. By day 3, dozens of activists stood outside Ocean Dome's gates holding signs that read, "Captivity kills," and "Shut it down." Park officials remained quiet, but behind the scenes, Nakcoa was quietly removed from the show roster. No announcement, no retirement ceremony, no explanation to the public. One day he was on the poster, the next he was gone. The silence spoke volumes. Sam Collins was not the first trainer to die in a marine park, and unless something changes, he won't be the last. His death reawakened a haunting history, one that parks like Ocean Dome have spent decades trying to bury. In 2010, SeaWorld trainer Don Brancheau was killed by an orca named Tilikum during a live show in Orlando, Florida. Tilikum had a history. He had been linked to 2 prior deaths, and yet he was kept in rotation until the day he pulled Don into the water and didn't let go. In 2009, Quito, a male orca in a marine park in the Canary Islands, killed his trainer during a Christmas rehearsal. Internal reports later revealed that Quito had been showing signs of aggression for weeks. No one listened.
The names change, the parks change, but the pattern is always the same. Former trainer Marcus Hayes, who worked at Ocean Dome until 2018, said it best. Sam loved that orca, and I believe Nakcoa loved Sam in whatever way a whale can love. But love doesn't cancel out trauma. That whale had 20 years of pain behind his eyes. That show was a time bomb. We all knew it. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're signals, red flags flapping in the wind. And yet parks continue to sell the dream. Smiling trainers, dancing whales, splash zones, and souvenir photos. But behind the smiles, there are scars. Behind the music, there are screams. Captivity doesn't just kill people. It destroys orcas from the inside out. In the wild, orcas swim up to 100 miles a day. They live in tightly bonded family pods, communicate in complex dialects, mourn their dead, and form relationships that last a lifetime. But in captivity, they swim in circles for hours. Some float motionless for long stretches. Most captive orcas have collapsed dorsal fins, a telltale sign of poor health seen in less than 1% of wild orcas, but in over 90% of those in tanks. They grind their teeth down, chewing on metal gates out of boredom and stress. Many suffer from chronic infections, broken teeth, and ulcers. Some show signs of self-harm, rubbing their bodies raw against tank walls, bashing their heads, or refusing food altogether. They are sentient beings trapped in bathtubs. But there is another way. In recent years, marine biologists and animal welfare organizations have proposed sea sanctuaries. Large, netted-off ocean coves where retired orcas can live out their lives with dignity. Still cared for, but no longer performing. They would feel the currents, see the sun rise and set over open water, and begin to reconnect with the natural world at their own pace. It's not perfect. It can never undo the trauma. But it's a start, and it's already happening. Pilot sanctuaries have been established in places like Iceland and British Columbia. The question is no longer, can we do better? It's, will we? Sam Collins' death shook the world, but his story doesn't have to end in tragedy. It can be a turning point. Sam believed in the magic of human-animal connection. He believed that orcas could trust us and that we could be worthy of that trust. But the system he believed in failed him. It failed Nakcoa, and it's failing thousands of marine mammals every single day. But it's not too late to change that. If this story moved you, don't let it stop here. Don't let it fade into the noise of tomorrow's headlines. Be part of something bigger. Support the growing movement to end orca captivity. Stand with scientists, advocates, and former trainers who are calling for sea sanctuaries. Demand transparency from marine parks. Share the story. Talk about it. Challenge the illusion. Because when we stay silent, the cycle continues. For every trainer who walks into a tank unaware of what could happen, for every orca born behind glass never knowing the ocean, for Sam, for Nakcoa. Because freedom should not be a privilege for some, it's a right for all. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's raise our voices together and make sure no more lives are lost to silence. This isn't just about ending a show. It's about starting a movement.